Hello Motivationalists, I'm Dan and welcome to my channel where I share goal setting strategies so that you can build the life you want. In today's video we are talking about Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So, growing up, Robert Kiyosaki had two dads, one poor and one rich. Poor Dad was highly educated with a PhD, but Rich Dad didn't even finish 8th grade. Both grew up, became successful with high incomes. However, Poor Dad had money problems and Rich Dad became one of Hawaii's wealthiest. Poor Dad will pass down unpaid bills and debt, while Rich Dad will leave tens of billions of dollars to his family and to charity. Both dads advised Kiyosaki from a young age, but how did each end up so differently financially? And the answer to that is financial knowledge. Think about it. How many of you were formally taught how to manage your finances and build wealth? Personally, I didn't even know the advantages of building credit until I was probably 22, and I didn't take a financial course until my final semester as an undergraduate, which, by the way, I took only as an elective. The problem with today's education system is that money is not taught in schools. Schools focus on scholastic and professional skills, but not financial skills. Which, when you think about it, it's kind of surprising. After all, money touches our lives every day. It puts food on the table, a roof over your head, and ultimately shapes your future. Kiyosaki says, "What I know makes me money. What I don't know loses me money." That is why we must take the initiative and educate ourselves on finance by studying experts and reading books like this, which also I enjoy this other book called How to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And one of the most important lessons about amassing wealth is understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. In short, assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. Examples of assets include stocks, bond, real estate, and royalties. Liabilities are your mortgage, school loans, and any credit card debt you might have racked up. It's important to understand this difference because it distinguishes the rich from the poor. So, at the end of the month, and the average person finally gets their long-awaited paycheck. So, what do they do with it? They buy the latest smartphone or a new television, maybe a car. And sometimes they may even have put this on a credit card which they can't even afford yet. They throw their money away on frivolous purchases. They buy liabilities. Meanwhile, the rich are smart with their money and they use their paycheck to buy assets. Assets that put money back in their pockets over time. Now, I know there is a medium between poor and rich, and we call it the middle class. The middle class tends to be highly educated, usually college graduates that grow up to be doctors and lawyers. After you graduate with an advanced degree, get a high-paying job, money begins flowing in. But even the middle class fail to think and act like a rich person, and here's why. The middle class starts making more money, yes. However, what do they do with that money? They buy more liabilities. Their expenses increase to match their income. Have you ever heard of the rat race? This is what it looks like. People get stuck in a cycle of working more, to make more, to buy more. But once they slip into this loop, they now need to continue working to afford their more expensive lifestyle. Remember this truth about building wealth. It is not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. So build your savings up, keep your expenses down, and buy assets. Another important aspect of managing our finances is reducing our taxes. But before we go into that, Kiyosaki dives into a brief history of taxation. According to Kiyosaki, it wouldn't be far off to compare the history of taxes to a Robin Hood fantasy. You know, steal from the rich, give to the poor. Well, believe it or not, the only time taxes were levied in the US and England were during times of war, and even those taxes were temporary. It wasn't until 1913 did income tax become permanent in the US, although you might not know that income tax actually only applied to the rich. The government fed the idea of taxing the rich to the masses, and they ate it up. Punish the rich by taxing them and then share it with everybody else. It was the perfect Robin Hood story. However, what the poor and middle class did not anticipate is that government's greed and eventually everybody, rich and poor, were legally taxed. However, the rich weren't about willingly surrendering their hard-earned money to the government. Kiyosaki says, every time people try to punish the rich don't simply comply. They react. They have the money, power, and intent to change things. So, how did the rich protect their money? One way was and is through corporations. Now, contrary to common belief, a corporation is not necessarily a building. It doesn't even have a board of directors. A corporation is literally a file folder with legal documents. So, how does it work? Well, let's talk about making and spending money. When people make money, they are taxed before even receiving it. Then whatever is left over is theirs to spend. Rich people with corporations are the opposite. Corporations allow the rich to earn their money, spend it first, and then pay taxes on whatever is left over. Corporation is one of the many ways that allows Warren Buffett, CEO of Berkshire and Hathaway, to pay less taxes than his own secretary. Again, taking advantage of corporations is one of the many benefits of developing your financial knowledge so that you can make and keep your money. Alright, so that is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And as a recap, here are 3 fundamental points made in this video summary. 1. Knowledge is power. To amass wealth, you must first build a strong base of financial intelligence. Study financial experts and read books. 2. Buy assets, not liabilities. Remember, the poor and middle class buy liabilities that take money out of their pocket. The rich buy assets that put money in their pocket over time. And 3. Understand the power of corporations. Use your financial knowledge to pay less taxes so that you keep more of your hard-earned dollars. As always, thanks so much for watching, and remember to like and subscribe to receive more videos like this. And if you want a jumpstart on your goals, click the link below to sign up for your free PDF, 7 Simple Habits to Conquer the Week. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.